So some of you may have noticed that the first three segments of today's program had some similar content in each of the segments. The first one was kind of organics. Second one was kind of entrepreneurs. Third one was on the bottle bill. This one is very diverse, this closing segment. We've had carbon calculator, tax policy, and next we're gonna hear about lithium ion battery extended producer responsibility. Doug Kobold has been talking trash for just under 30 years. He is currently the executive director for the California Product. Can you pipe down, please? Executive Director for the California Product Stewardship Council, or CPSC. Previously, he spent over 18 years with Sacramento County developing and managing recycling programs while dabbling in legislation and regulation. Nearly 3 years with Edgar and Associates providing solid waste consulting services throughout California, and over 5 years with Yolo County in landfill design and managing its operation. He's going to talk to us today about the threat of lithium ion batteries to our infrastructure and possible solutions. Doug.
Okay, I think the original plan was to have one of my talented staff members, Joanne Brash, up here talking to you about textile recycling, but unfortunately you're stuck with me now. She wasn't able to make it. So I'm going to shift gears a little because I am not a textile expert. That's what she does. So I'm going to talk more about battery EPR, as you've already been alluded to. I want to start off just a reminder that I have a great talented staff of 4, and then we're governed by an even more talented and awesome board of local government representatives and private sector. As a matter of fact, I like to call them my 13 bosses. And matter of fact, 2 of them are sitting here today. We got Alexa and Julia. So you might see some of your other folks that you recognize. So like I said, we have an excellent board who brings a lot of diversity to the organization. I always have to thank our funders, because without cities, counties, JPAs, districts, the funding you provide to us, we couldn't exist. We really appreciate the funding, and please keep it coming. And if you don't see your county in green, or you don't see a red dot roughly where your city is, feel free to reach out to me. Also, I got to thank our private sector sponsors, because without them as well, we can't do what we do. They're very generous with their money and helping us to drive home extended producer responsibility and product stewardship. Okay, just a quick reminder about what EPR is. EPR is basically to shift the costs of the end of life of products away from local government and the ratepayers at the curb, and get that back over to where it belongs, the people that are making these products. The ones who make the decisions right up front. They're the ones who decide how recyclable it's going to be, how durable it's going to be, how repairable it's going to be, and how reusable it's going to be. So why not get them to make better decisions? And one way to do that is get them to bear the costs of what they've produced. Another quick thing on EPR, we have the most EPR product stewardship laws in the nation right now. With 13, we cover a whole host of different commodities. But we have a lot of folks that follow suit and are trying to catch up with us, so we've got to keep ahead of them. The 2 laws that I'm going to talk about right now are EPR laws. There are 2 existing ones, one for cell phone recycling and one for rechargeable batteries. Those 2 are definitely a problem, because both of them do have lithium ion batteries contained within them, or they are lithium ion of chemistry, but there's the whole list of all the other categories. And then one quick other slide I want to cover is just the difference between extended producer responsibility and product stewardship. True extended producer responsibility on the far left is where the manufacturers, they're paying for the program, they're funding it and running it. So they're the ones making those decisions, and it's influencing what they do later on. Then on the far right, we have the product stewardship side of things, where somebody is paying for it and somebody is running it. And a lot of times it is that the consumers are paying for it. We, as when we buy our widgets, when we buy our products, but then maybe the industry is running it. And maybe that's not always the best idea, because sometimes industry has their own motivations. So when it's public money, like a visible consumer fee, maybe it should be governed by an independent board who makes those decisions and makes them for the best choice for the consumers and for the all the stakeholders. far as battery EPR laws, and I could be looking right down here. As far as battery EPR laws are concerned, there's 8 of them across the United States. And then the most recent is a local ordinance. Say, local governments pass ordinances, please. You help us a lot when we're trying to do something at the state level. The District of Columbia did pass an ordinance for battery EPR. So we are one of a few out there with a battery EPR type of ordinance. And like I mentioned earlier, our 2 are the cell phones and the rechargeable batteries. This is where the problem comes in. And this is why I'm talking about lithium ion batteries. And I probably have been talking about this ad nauseum over the last few years, but it's getting worse and worse. Ryan Fogelman of Fire Rover has been doing an excellent job for the last 5 or 6 years, tracking these things, seeing how bad the fires are getting in facilities. People, this is threatening our recycling infrastructure. We won't be here talking about recycling pretty soon because we won't have any facilities to talk about because the fires are more numerous, they're more aggressive. And what's happening and what we saw in the San Carlos facility, we saw a massive devastating fire that took the facility down for 6 months, cost $8 million in damage, took their insurance premiums from one carrier at about $120,000 a year to 7 carriers at $2.4 million. Those costs are being passed on to your ratepayers because we can't get a handle on this. This is why we have to get a handle on lithium ion batteries. They are the primary cause of most of the fires that are happening in facilities. And Ryan's data does a great job of depicting this. So where have we been? We have been trying for over 6 years to do something about this at CPSC. We started off with Assembly Member Doss Williams way back in 2014 to try and get a battery bill passed, start collecting these things conveniently, get the producers to pay for these things. It didn't go very far. It died in Senate EQ. In 2019, we reintroduced a new bill and we partnered up with Rethink Waste, Julia's organization, and also with Californians Against Waste. Our 2 esteemed colleagues from Californians Waste are here. And the trifecta of co-sponsors tried to get a bill through, starting with lithium ion batteries. And then pretty quickly we decided, you know what? The consumer is not going to be able to tell the difference between a lithium ion battery, a nickel cadmium battery, an alkaline battery, especially when they're single use. How do they know? The packaging is pretty, but it doesn't tell what the chemistry is unless you really read the fine print, and then you got to understand it. So and then we looked at embedded batteries. Those are the ones that are really causing the problems in the Murphs. At least they have been because they're in toys, they're in shoes, they're in greeting cards, they're in so many products. Look at all the toys in the toy store now that have whistles, bells, all that. That's lithium ion batteries in there that can be compromised in the recycling process and cause a fire. So like what was experienced at San Carlos and others. And so this is becoming more and more of a problem. Now we have a bigger problem. And that is now for a long time was just rechargeable nickel cadmium and alkaline in the household loose batteries. We now have lithium metal and lithium ion batteries in the household single-use batteries. So lithium ion is bad enough, and those are the rechargeable ones that are the single use, are the household loose, but the lithium metal have more potential for fire than the lithium ion counterparts, and they are designed for single use. And they can cause the same kind of fires that we're seeing with the other products. So this is, again, getting worse and worse. So what CPSC, CAW, and Rethink Waste did is we reintroduced this bill again in last year under SB 289 to try and deal with this problem. We expanded it to include all batteries, loose and embeddeds, and try to get it through. And like the 2 previous bills, it seems to keep getting held up in the Senate. It's just, we can't get out of the Senate for some reason. This one actually originated in the Senate and still didn't get out of there. So we are making a 3rd go at this, and we believe this is a much better time to do this. We have got now 2 awesome authors, the same author from last year who pushed this bill through. Well, it's 289. He is now carrying, Senator Newman is now carrying SB 1215. And then we've also got Assemblymember Jackie Irwin out of the LA Basin area. And she is carrying the bill as well. These are mirrored bills. They have the exact same language, where they'll follow the exact same track, be amended the same. Everything will be the same. It's to get the conversation going in both houses at the same time. So when it comes to votes, if the exact same battery gets out of both houses, goes one to the other, it's pretty hard for the second house to say, well, you know, we don't like that battery bill. You already passed it in your own house. Why would you not like it in this house now, coming up from the other house? So it's a pretty interesting kind of strategy to get these through. We're gonna have a lot of opposition. So we've introduced the bill. We have made a minor amendment so far. We're going to be bringing some more amendments. They are not ready yet because we are negotiating with one of our bigger opponents from last year. We believe might actually come into either neutral or maybe even support. If we can get that, that's a huge win for us to get this bill through, and then we'll bring it forward. So watch for those two bills, AB 2440 and SB 1215, to make sure, and watch when they change. They will be dramatically altered to bring in the true EPR for loose and household batteries, and then most likely true EPR also for the embedded batteries. And we are working on the exact definition of what is going to be embedded. Is it going to be the big lawnmower with the embedded battery, or is it going to be limited to handheld devices, anything you can hold in your hand, like a toy, a cell phone, etc. So I want to close my comments just with this. I want to, as a reminder, this is a new campaign that CPSC is pushing, because I think this gets to the heart of the matter and where we want to go as an organization. We want to get the producers to think this way. We want them to make the products that they sell us more durable. They should last a lot longer, folks. We shouldn't have to expect to change them out every few years. If we don't want them anymore, we should be able to pass them down to somebody else, and they should still last and still work. If they don't work, we ought to be able to repair them. And there's a right to repair bill in the legislature right now. So let's make sure that it's easier to fix it than go buy a new one, because that is going really in the wrong direction. And then finally, you know what, if we can't fix it, let's make sure it's actually recyclable. Let's make sure that the components can be taken apart and actually turned into new products, because a lot of the products we have out there, it costs way more than there'll ever be worth to recycle them. And so why would people do it? They're just going to toss them in the trash. And with that, I will take questions. Any questions?
Any questions about?
I'm curious if you could talk about the opposition and their rationale.
Well, so what happened last year with SB 289, and we haven't heard a lot from the opposition yet, but we expect to in the next month or so. But what happened last year, we had concerns about what would retailers have to take back. If you're a Target, for example, and you had to take back the household batteries because you sold those and you sold small products, you had to take those back. What if do you have to take back the big lawnmower with the embedded battery that can't come out? You don't sell them. But it wasn't as clear in the laws as we were starting to work through the process. We were going to clarify that as we worked through the process. Part of this is in that sausage making called legislation development. You put in pieces as you work through, you would react to changes, you react to requests and reasonable requests. And so we were working that way, but unfortunately the bill died in appropriations in the Senate before we get there. So we had some good amendments to be dropped in. They didn't. That's why they're now in the bill that we're going to be moving forward. The two bills will be moving forward this way. So that was part of it. And then of course, the electronics manufacturers, they were concerned, oh, well, are you going to roll in laptops? Well, laptops are already covered under a different program. So it got into that, who's in, who's out, and just that sheer confusion got folks to get a little nervous.
David, you got anything?
Yes, we have a question from Liz. Do the legislators understand the threat to the Murphs?
I think they're getting a better understanding of it. I think more and more when they see reports like Ryan Fogelman's report, when they hear stories about the cost increase that they heard, like I heard the crowd go, "Oh, wow!" When it went from 125,000, 120,000 a year to 2.5 million a year. I'm not joking. That's what it is. And so that's waking up the legislators. And CPSC is a co-sponsor of an annual trip where we go to places like Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Canada. We've been into Canada. We're taking legislators there. We're showing them what can happen in other jurisdictions, other states, other countries, what they can do. Why can't we do that here? There's battery recycling going on right now in Ontario, Canada, where you can recycle all of your alkaline batteries. Why can't we do that here? If you talk to the companies that manufacturers, they say, "Oh, it can't be done in America. It can't be done in California." Funny, it can be done in other countries. Why can't it be done here?
Maybe one more question out there. Anybody? Otherwise, we'll thank Doug for the information.
Thank you.